Hi, I'm Jay, and today we're going to talk about how to diagnose your AprilAire digital humidistat. All right, the light is blinking that says call dealer for service, and we have an E3 fault code. E3 tells us, if you look at your manual, that there's a problem with the outdoor temperature sensor. Now, this one happens to have the manual mode resistor on it, so there's a problem with it because that is what is attached in lieu of the outdoor temperature sensor. So what we're going to want to do is turn the power off before we start messing with this thing. So let's kill the power first. Now that the power is turned off, let's take off the cover. Pull the knob and snap off the cover. Okay, now if we take a look inside there, and we look real close down here at this manual mode resistor, you can see that the two wires that come from it are shorted out against each other. So we're going to just straighten that out. There we go. That's now straightened out. They were shorted out before, and now they're no longer shorted. So they're separated. We're going to just go ahead while we're in here and just tighten up those two screws attached to it. Make sure they're tight. Very good. All right. Now we can put the cover back on and turn the power back on and see what happens. Okay, we've separated the two wires that were touching each other on this manual mode resistor. We have the power back on. The call dealer for service light is no longer on. It no longer says E3 error code. Let's spin this around, see if our humidifier comes back on and test. Yep, humidifier comes on, 36%. All right, everything appears to be working just great now. So our only problem was the wires for the manual mode resistor were shorted out to each other. Now the same thing will happen if one of the wires breaks or if this manual mode resistor were to fail. That E3 code is telling you that the value that it's looking for is within a range from X to Y, and it is out of range. It's either not enough resistance, in other words, shorted out, or a resistance value that's too high, which would mean that one of the wires was broken. The same holds true for the outdoor temperature sensor. So here's an outdoor temperature sensor right here. Normally, for a lot of people, this is what's attached to those two terminals, the ODT terminals, in lieu of this little resistor. So what often happens with these is this little sensor here is stuck on an outside wall, and maybe your dog chewed on it or someone hit it with an implement, a tool, lawnmower, whatever. They've broken it. So once you break this device, you will have no signal coming back to the control, and it will kick up the E3 failure code. So we're going to show you how to check this. Now, we have a 58 model humidistat, and this has an outdoor temperature sensor on it. And everything is working fine. We can flip this thing over here. If you take a look at the display, it says 37%. That's the humidity here in our video studio. We spin it around, and we can get it turned on. We spin it to the test position. It says humidifier on. So we are now running the humidifier. It'll run for about a minute, and then it'll start to blink, and it will eventually turn off the humidifier after 1 minute. So we're going to see what happens if we have a fault code. And the fault code we're going to use is E3. Okay, now we have an E3 error code, which is telling us there's a problem with the outdoor temperature sensor. So we're going to turn off the power to the unit, get our meter out, and check it. First thing we want to do, again, turn off the power. Okay, we've turned off the power to the furnace and the humidifier. Display's blank right now, so we're going to find out why we have an E3 error code. Let's take the cover off, And right here we have the terminals that are marked ODT. Okay, we're going to disconnect these two wires so we can get the little sensor wires in our hands. Okay, we're going to pull them both out. All right, we're going to get our meter out and check the ohm value that we're reading here. Okay, there you go. It says overload. So it's infinite resistance, basically, which means it's not seeing anything. So it doesn't see our outdoor air sensor at all. So what we're going to want to do is find out why. So we'll go out to the sensor outside and take a look at it and find out what the problem is. Okay, we've gone outside and taken a look at our outdoor temperature sensor, and here's the new one. We found out that the end of this outdoor temperature sensor outside is missing. So it must have gotten hit by a shovel, or maybe the dog chewed the end of it off. But anyways, we're going to replace it and see what happens. So here's the new one. We're going to go outside and replace this now. Okay, we've replaced the outdoor temperature sensor. And if we take a look here, kind of hard to see, but it says 46.4 K. So it's 46.4 thousand ohms resistance. Okay, now that equates, if you look at the chart in the owner's manual, that equates to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside, which oddly enough, it happens to be. So it's 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside. We get a value here of 46.4 thousand ohms. That matches the temperature outside. So everything is good. So now all we have to do is reconnect these wires and turn the power back on and test it. Okay, let's disconnect these. We're going to reinstall these wires. Let's put the cover back on. Reinstall the knob. There we are. All right, leave that off for now. Now we'll turn the power back on and test it. Okay, we've switched the power back on, and as you can see, everything's working again. We no longer have the E3 error code. It's telling us that the humidity in our space is 37%, and that is correct. So we're going to spin this around and see if the humidifier will come on. All right, we're spinning around the test position just for the heck of it. Humidifier light came on. The humidifier is now running. Everything's working great. So we're fixed. Now we can set this back to whatever setting we want. For us, we're going to leave it on 5 right now. Thanks for watching. For additional help or questions, feel free to contact us.